Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. I don't really know what to talk about. Just making a video right now. I feel like I'm doing pretty good. I'm making progress. Not as fast as I like to, but nonetheless, it is progress and I should be proud of myself. That's something in Latino communities that I feel like isn't often talked about, how very great achievements aren't very much celebrated. The only thing that's celebrated are small achievements aren't celebrated, I mean. And I think that's very important for Latino communities because the depression in Latino women is very high actually. And it has to do with the family dynamic. And I wish that, and it is unraveling, it is being told, the propaganda is being seen as for what it is. I'm 26 years old. Since I was 19, I was depressed with PTSD and anxiety because I was assaulted. For what the main reason, I don't really know. And I'm aware of both concepts of all of these other things. But people don't have to be so, and a lot of people actually aren't. There is actually a lot of compassionate people in this world. And unfortunately though, these compassionate people, these people who really have a heart for humanity, don't really get to reach power that often because it involves a lot of courage and bravery. And I'm pretty upset with this channel is kind of just random. There's a lot of stuff that's about my life and a lot of stuff that's random. Sometimes some political stuff and the progression of my life that I want to show. And I already said in the first one about my homosexuality, and that and I am homosexual and living with what I'm living with and all these things. But no more shame and no more embarrassment. We get to live, you get to live, we get to live our lives. And I think it should be obvious that any type of confrontation that you tell people they can't live the way they decide to live in a free nation will always be met with resistance. And the homosexuality thing is pretty upsetting to me, not because of me being homosexual, but because of the down low men in homosexuality. And I don't even like to use the word down low men. I like to use the word men who have sex with men and say are not gay, which is possible too as well. Sure, you're experimenting, you're all these things. But to continuously say that, just so, and it's all random, and it can be all put together coherently, hopefully. But to say that you're not gay after so many times is just so you can have the privilege of not being seen as gay. And I was in rehab. I went to rehab voluntarily though. It wasn't court ordered because I was going down. And in these rehabs, there were a lot of addicts who aspired to have power. A lot of these addicts in these rehabs were racist as well. Not all of them, some of them. And when you look at people who are racist addicts, and then the drug dealer is black, or the drug dealer is Latino, and you have a racist addict who only wants to blame the drug dealer. Sound familiar? And when you look at that, and people who haven't experienced this, and even the people who are in these positions in these nonprofits, some of these nonprofits are corrupt. Just like United States aid, whether it be Democratic or Republican, was corrupt, and as always was trying to corrupt Latin American countries. Latin America has, I think, 33, 32 countries. Please do fact check me to make sure. I'm not too sure. Around there, 33 or 32 countries with an estimate population together of 655 million people. So if you have 33 countries who continuously are trying to develop, and out of nowhere, they're always continuously getting dictatorships, which were conservative dictatorships. These dictatorships in Venezuela, before Hugo Chavez, in Cuba, I think that was a reason that these dictators became so, was because first, these coups were being paid by the United States government. US aid was there also influencing political systems, not only just helping parts of Africa. And even then, Africa should have been able to develop by now, but there was so many European intervention. And there is a fear, right, for white people that they're going to be outnumbered, or people want revenge. Like me, I'm mestizo. I'm Mexican American. I'm American, but mestizo, which a mestizo is someone mixed with indigenous blood and Spaniard blood. So maybe you can see that in my face. So a lot of Latin Americans are mixed with Spaniard blood or Portuguese blood from the conquistadores. And a lot of propaganda has been pushed onto my people, onto indigenous people, because I'm indigenous as well. Latinos are indigenous. There are a lot of, not all of them, some of them are just straight up Spaniard or European on the American continent, right? So that's a fact. No one can take that away. But that doesn't mean that people can't live in that reality if they decide to do so. It doesn't mean it's going to align with the world, though. Someone said before that, I don't know who it was, I don't know who it was, but they said, fascism will grow again by white people. White nationalists will grow into fascism again. And the leftists and socialists will be indigenous people and people who are black. China has been the only country that has been able to compete with the United States of America. China with a massive economic presence in the world. So anything that China does seems to be a national security threat. But the United States has been threatening national security in Latin America and underdeveloped countries for a long time. Since the alliance of NATO, since after World War II. This is about white nationalism, and it is about trying to take away and erase indigenous history. It's also about materialism, right? They want resources from Latin America. What did President Donald Trump just recently tell Zelensky? That Venezuela is no longer giving them oil. Mexico has nationalized its oil. Colombia is on the verge of, I don't think they're giving them oil. And the bananas are coming from Guatemala now. The bananas are coming from Ecuador. Ecuador and Bolivia are places where USA interventionism is pretty high. They have US military bases in Latin America. And China has been the only one that has been able to implement Chinese stations, Chinese police stations in different countries, just like the USA has done. So, where was I? I lost my train of thought. So, yeah. I lost my train of thought. So it's the natural resources. So the natural resources they want from Ukraine now, that's forcing Ukraine sign a deal to trade in their natural resources for protection from the United States of America. And it's called the United States of America. You know how easy that can confuse the world, and how good it even sounds in the tongue to be able to propagandize it so easily? The United States of America, Gulf of America. When It's North America and South America, how easy it is to propagandize people who aren't as well versed or educated on these topics because, well, they're, I guess, not very interested in it. And it's a very stressful thing, and it can cause a lot of stress. And they want the natural resources of Ukraine now, after being devastated because Russia did what the USA does. Puerto Rico is one of the longest colonies, one of the oldest colonies in the world. But Mexico is not going to back down. Brazil doesn't have relationships with the United States any longer as it has joined BRICS. So fascism is growing with the white nationalism, and socialism is growing with, again, indigenous and black people. Because in Africa, there are also socialist groups. One of those, I believe, is the economic freedom fighters in South Africa, where Elon Musk is from. So this is about these things that are targeting younger people. They're targeting people who are in high school, who and so off of social media like nothing. And it's just so it's not interesting. It's unfortunate how much they're filling them with hatred. As I have been filled with hatred. They got me. I was like that. I was so filled with hatred. I couldn't even think straight. On top of my depression, on top of my PTSD, on top of my problem with my what is it called? The HIV and medicine and the depression and the PTSD, that I had to navigate myself through that because I wasn't as smart as I thought I was. And even then, I'm not really that smart at all. But that's a whole nother video on its own. And these things are just being rolled out by propagandists. It's all propaganda. And the only thing that could really help with this is making videos. Anybody. And being able to spread love or be loving and compassionate to people, even when all you want to do is be hateful and cynical to other people because of the lack of security that it might be feeling and all these different aspects of the passive aggressiveness that's pushed onto us. We've been propagandized. The Latinos have been propagandized far longer than black people on the North and American continents. Why have indigenous people been propagandized far longer than black people on this land? And Mexico, I believe, abolished slavery in North America before Canada and Mexico. And black people were being freed with special protections in Mexico, protecting their freedom. They were escaping from Texas and Louisiana into Mexico. So, and also about the homosexuality. There are a lot of people who are homosexual and Latino and black, just as much as there are a lot of homosexuals who are white, who make you believe that they don't accept their white family members. So you can leave your black or Latino family members who are gay in the dust so they can die off, or so that they can become something else that they're not going to. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But as far as loving someone, loving your family, the white people do love their family members who are gay. They just lie to us. They lie about everything. Not about everything, but they lie about how things are so they can have a leg up. They're not dumb. And Elon Musk isn't dumb, nor is President Donald Trump. They're not dumb, and it's actually dangerous to call them dumb. They're very intelligent people knowing exactly what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing and what they want. So that's something that maybe should shift. And again, to the Latinos, we've been propagandized for a very long time. The obesity rate in women and Latinos and depression and suicide rates in Latinos are up because of our favorite drink. I personally didn't even like Coca-Cola. I really just drink water, but there is, in Latin America, they do drink a lot of sugary drinks and soda. And there was aggressive marketing to us as Latinos. So there's a lot of families who are Latinos who have these cultural differences, and they have these clashes with their children, the moms and dads with their children, forcing them to be some type of way, forcing them to, there's clashes, right? And it is affecting Latino families, and it affects Latino families quite a bit. So, and I wish, like, that was one of the embarrassments in Latin America. One of the embarrassments in Latin America was that their governments would continuously betray their people in the interest of the money that was being funneled into Latin America to the politicians by the United States, so that dictatorships and coups could continue to happen. Just the same way as it has happened in Africa. So the global South has been trying for a long time to develop, but the hand of the USA has continuously stopped it. And the only real true Americans who have been here for thousands of years are Latinos, who have a lot of mixed indigenous blood into them. And in Mexico and in Latin America, and I didn't know this actually about Brazil, that Confederates, Nazis went to Brazil to escape persecution from Germany. Isn't that ironic? That in Latin America, indigenous people, that's where they went to hide when there's a large array of indigenous people. And we're indigenous too. Mexicans are indigenous. Latinos are indigenous. They're mestizos or mulattoes. And we have blood in our veins that go back thousands of years on this land. But yet, the people who rule the continent of North and South America are not indigenous people, are not people who have been here for thousands of years. And you gotta ask yourself, why is that? And Latinos are good at betraying one another because that's all they know from their governments in Latin America. Latinos are the majority and have always been the majority. And to vote against the interest of your own families is something that, when this is all over, whether it be hopefully through peace or through means of aggression, if they don't stop, because people will protect and defend themselves when it comes to their livelihoods and their survival. If the government decides to not want to listen to the people, that you'll have to live with that decision, and you'll have to live with betraying your family, betraying people who are closest to you and your mannerisms and way of thinking and all of these things that are of this continents, North and South America. And I mean, it doesn't have to be that deep, like this and that, because I don't know, so many people don't care about this, but yet they want to mock and belittle and take away people's dignity and dehumanize people to make them seem as if though they don't have feelings and that they don't cry or they don't hurt inside. But the Latinos betraying Latinos is something that's deeply ingrained into the propaganda that has been fed to us for thousands of years, since the beginning of when the Spaniards arrived to Latin America. And if you look at TV soap operas, novelas, in Mexico, a lot of these soap operas only have white actors, white Spaniard actors. And as a matter of fact, many of the presidents of Mexico were from Spain. And this war on cartels has already been done in Mexico. And it caused a lot of violence because a lot of the cartels just simply started to shoot at the police and shoot at the government with their own weaponry, just like the army has. As a matter of fact, now it's well known that 70% of the weaponry that the cartels have been armed with have been by the gun shows here, from police stations, from police officers that has sold them to them. So I hope Latinos can see this and know that you don't have to be anything else besides yourself. That a lot of Latino families do accept their gay children. And you don't have to be machismo and homosexual. That only perpetuates and exasperates this idea that a man has to be super submissive or dominant to one another because of who they decide to love and in what way. But yeah, I just thought I'd come on here and make a video and really just talk about what's been on my mind and everything that I'm dealing with as well, that I've been doing for quite some time, but now it's just moving forward, being present, and being part of society. Being part of society no matter what. Volunteering somewhere, being integrated and maintaining and hopefully getting a job. Hopefully someone wants to hire me, because if not this, then I'm not going to be able to survive. But yeah, the USA intervention, and anytime it's like hatred that rises up, like that needs to be burned out with love, and not be afraid, and let the shame and the fear go out the door, and just forget about the shame and the fear. And see, I just got anxiety from hearing that car rev up, because I live next to a sex offender here, and my family is, I'm telling you about my immigration story in this, but yeah, I live next to a sex offender. We live next to a sex offender. And there's a middle school right over here. And there's actually about 15 sex offenders that live in this neighborhood where I live, where there's a park over here and there's a middle school over here. And this car that revved up, that lives 3 houses to this side, across side from the sex offender, continuously comes up to my house here and revs his car up. Granted, I would be out there yelling about politics and yelling about what has happened to me about being assaulted over there, trying to figure out, because I told you I was in a rehab, and a lot of the people who were in that rehab actually also lived through here, and I didn't know that because we actually moved here. So quick life story update then, and I had to say that this truck, and also on top of that, at an intersection over here, there's I think a concrete mixing factory facility, and there's a whole bunch of trucks that say God and country in a skull and bone picture on their concrete trucks. And it says Trump, 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 MAGA, MAGA. And across is a truck stop from there. And then there's a middle school over here. And there's 15 to 16 sex offenders here. Liberals talk about liberty and being able to live your life how you want, as long as you're not harming children, as long as you're not trying to force or do anything onto others, as freely as you want. But conservatives take it. Why? Liberals try to tell you continuously, and I don't know about the old liberals, but the new liberals, even socialists, I think we're leaning more to socialism too now, tell you all the time, you can do what you want, you can live as freely as you'd like, believe in what you want, and live in peace, let be, and all these things. But conservatives do the same exact thing, but punish, because it's self-hatred into themselves. And then conservatives tell other people how they should and shouldn't live, but yet they go out and do it anyways. This homosexual thing too, I'm going to go back to the homosexual thing, is a lot bigger than just a sin in the book of God or the Holy Bible. It is about corruption. It's about being able to get away with stuff. And it's about the idea of Roman gladiators so ingrained into their heads. But I'm also going to show my progression on here. And I'm going to show you places of this city and places of this county of where I was and what has happened to me growing up in an immigration family, and through the cultural differences in the Midwest. And I'm going to continue to talk about the Latino propagandization that has been fed to us by the United States of America and white nationalist people who are in positions of power, who are in marketing. But as I said, that's why I don't get that. That's where that comes from. Liberals continuously say you can live freely, while conservatives want to tell people what to do, what they shouldn't do, while they do it themselves. And they just take what they want. I'm going to reiterate this. Latinos are indigenous to this land. We're not immigrants, we're migrants. Nor are we illegal to any land, nor is anyone illegal to any land. And these processes of laws and systems are put in place for the people, by the people, not for the government, by the billionaires. And that's something that always has to be well known, and I believe it is well known. There was this thing that I was watching something on the TV, and someone said, or maybe on YouTube, they said that Republicans are really good with the young people. Republicans just seem to be able to really connect with the young people. And then in my head, I connected. There's 16 sex offenders here. Whether they're conservative or liberal, I don't really know. There's a middle school over here. Religious people who have been convicted of crimes against maybe I'm focusing too much, but they did it all the time, and they live over here, and some other person over here threw a firework right in front of our house. And they also monitor this family in front of me, who I think are mad at me too now, because again, I was out there yelling and being very upset and almost being rebellious. But that stopped, and that's no more. And out of anger and frustration of what has happened to me personally, not because of just politics. There's a black family that lives right in front of us, and they will come up here and again, whatever the real situation is, I don't really know. I couldn't tell you. But again, they said they're really good with children, Republicans and conservatives. And then I thought about what I just said prior in this video. And I guess you can connect the dots. But hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully that isn't true. But we can't know if it's the true until we investigate, we question, we overlook what we investigate and question, and then confirm it, right? There's processes that you go through before really accusing or making these statements against people. And I'm not doing that at all. It's just something that came up to mind, something that I was thinking about that seemed interesting. Just so this is with like the propaganda and the misinformation that's fed to us. You look at it, you check it over on any type of search engine, maybe even through a book, maybe you can go to a library, who knows, and you confirm that information. But it is ironic, and this person who's next to us is I think is conservative. I'm not too sure, but one of his family members, his truck came, and at the back of his truck was a gun, and it said, "Come and get it," or "Come take it," or something like that. So that's what's going on in my life right now. And also all this political stuff that I said that has been happening for a long time to the Latino community. So I think I'm done. I'm going to post some pictures on my Instagram at whatever bro, I think, at Israel SJR321 on my Instagram and on my TikTok. And my Facebook is Israel. And also, where else? On YouTube. I'm going to put some shorts up and see what I can come up with, and also keep you updated on my life if you're interested, and show that you can get through a lot of things, that you need to maybe be somewhat realistic about what we can and can't do in our lives, especially when it's about money and income, and that you're allowed to change and be different, and don't let people bully you or make you feel less than because they're laughing at you for you progressing your life. You keep going, you keep moving forward, and be present in the fabric of society. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Israel Sanchez Jr. Have a good morning, day, and night. Please like, comment, subscribe, even if it's not too nice. But hopefully you are nice. You have a good day. Have a good day. Bye.